Modern Storage Unpacked. Let's go.
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Modern Storage Unpacked, the podcast where we make space for what matters. I'm your host, Hannah. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on an episode. They come out each week. Today, we have got something that most people don't really realize that makes a big difference, which is design. We have the one and only Garry here with us today. He is the designer who helped create the look behind Modern Storage. Thank you so much for joining us, Garry.
It's my pleasure.
I'm excited to talk about just how we came to be and the design to it, because it stands out. You know, it's not your typical storage unit, storage facility. So let's start with the beginning. How did you get involved with Modern Storage to begin with?
I had an opportunity to help the owners with some clubhouses, and they're very happy with the way they turned out, and they're not afraid of color. And I just said, well, this is a perfect opportunity to really have some fun with this.
Yeah.
And so it was a matter of, okay, what are we trying to create? Mm-hmm. What do we need? What are the objectives? And it is a neat way for people to, when they get there, they're always surprised that we would have, something that was more than just a little office and a person sitting behind a desk.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, what can we do that can really create something special?
A wow factor.
A wow factor. So
yeah.
that's how it all started.
Awesome. Yeah, it is all of our locations. Some of them have little pops of color that are different, than the others. And it's definitely, when you walk in those front doors, it's different.
Well, and our thing was, just like the apartment complexes, we wanted to have really amazing amenities and things that people didn't expect. And so we thought, why not have a little reception area with some great comfortable chairs, some great art, a coffee bar. We have Starbucks coffee machines. Mm-hmm. There's candies. There's treats. There's bottled water. We have a little business center with computers and printers, so you can fill out your application if you want, or if you want to even just go use it as a little business center, you can. And then we also did a big conference room. So we have a great conference tables and great chairs, big TVs, and so it's a matter of just having a lot of different things at your fingertips.
Yeah.
Besides just going in and designing a form to fill out and rent a storage unit. We also have the storage unit sizes there where you can actually walk in to see what a 10 by 10 is, what a 10 by 14 is, and what a 10 by 30 is. You can actually kind of walk into that space, which makes it a lot of fun. So you're not going, well, let me go take you and show you. It's inside the showroom. Plus we have all the packaging materials that you might need. We have boxes, we have tape, and just make it real easy for everybody.
Yeah, I love that. I will say, as an employee, the demo units, they're my favorite. Don't get me wrong, you do get a person every now and then that wants to see the actual unit. No problem with that. But being able to just walk right next to the desk, this is the size, without having to go, walk a million steps every day. That's you definitely thought of everyone in that aspect. I know when most people think of storage, and before I got involved with Modern Storage, I did too. They think, plain, industrial, maybe a little like grimy and creepy sometimes. What was your vision when you started designing Modern Storage?
Clean, efficient, and no worries for when you came out there. That the units would be spotless, and whether you wanted to be climate controlled, or whether you wanted a great big 10 by 30 that's not, mm-hmm. but also with overhead doors, easy access, and then also security. That was a big thing too. And so we have a whole big wall of flat screen TVs that show you the whole complex, and they continue to change with all the monitors and the TVs, so that it's safe and it's clean, and then you don't have to worry about any of that type of stuff.
I do notice that myself too. That's a good first impression when people do come in, just checking out our facility, and almost every person mentions the cameras, behind us. They're like, wow, I love that you can see everything right here. And I'm like, oh yeah, we got, on our iPads down here, and, we watch them.
I think it keeps everyone, gives everyone that peace of mind where they don't have to even think about it. And 100%. I think the great thing too is they've done such a fantastic job with their staff. All their staff is super knowledgeable. There's no attitude. Mm-hmm. They're there to help you, and that makes a big difference.
100%, yeah. I know that you were not just going for, pretty though, or just eye appeasing. Storage still does need to be functional, usable. How did you design the spaces that were both good looking and practical?
Sort of the same rule that we use for the clubhouses. It's just a matter of, let's have things that have a great style, but also have a great set, mm-hmm. and that also are a good quality that are going to hold up to commercial use. A big part of that was also having some things that were bulletproof, because we do the porcelain, tile in the floor. So,
Yeah.
oil's not going to stain it. We've got an epoxy grout that also will not get stained. And then, like in Hot Springs, it was a skating rink. So we had all the amazing wooden floors that we kept in all the units. And so when you go into the units over there on the first floor, they're all the old the original hardwood floors from the skating rink. So it's really pretty cool. So it's a matter of a kind of adaptive reuse, but also something that, is also easy to sweep out, keep clean, and you don't have to worry about.
Cool.
But I think our big thing is just making sure that it is, easily accessible. Yeah. We have some areas that if you've got some of the larger units have a covered roof over them. So if you do have a big truck and you're having to unload, if it's rain or if it's the weather won't affect what you do.
I know that we've definitely had people walk in and say, like, wow, this is a storage facility. They're just definitely impressed. What features or details do you think make the biggest impressions when somebody walks into Modern Storage?
I think that, the fact that we're not afraid of color. We do some really cool custom rugs that kind of ground the whole interior and for the seating area. I've also had a lot of fun. We do cloud ceilings with lights that hang down from them that are the same shape as the rugs that are on the floor. And then we have basically floor-to-ceiling glass that overlooks the conference room. And so it's safe, it's bright, it's cheery. I think people love the fact that you can go in and get a Starbucks coffee. Yes. And it's kind of right there at your fingertips. There's great bathrooms that look cool, that are clean, that are fresh. And we have LED mirrors, for the girls that need to go in and check their makeup. Yeah. And even when you're hot and sweaty and gross from unpacking all your stuff and putting it in your unit, you've got a place where you can come back, get refreshed, and then take off.
100%. I will say I would much rather use a Modern Storage bathroom than like your typical truck stop. Yeah, they're very clean, these are really very nice. Yeah,
and I think that it's all those things added together just make it a whole great experience for going and leasing a storage unit. Yeah, and making it real easy. So it's super easy and convenient. So you can kind of come and go as you please. But you always have that little pit stop or that little stop for a coffee, for a bottle of water. Yeah,
and I know that a lot of our locations, they're great, like, locations of where they're at, like, right off the interstate. Really just depending on, like, where you're coming from and going to. A lot of people do rent for the location of where they're at. And so half the time it's usually, they're coming or going from work and they're passing by it. And so, hey, let's just save $7 on a cup of coffee. Yep. Let me swing in and check on my stuff. And maybe I need something out of there, some coats, Yep. Okay. What design trend right now deserves a standing ovation, and what trend needs to be canceled like a problematic reboot?
People are doing things that are a little bit more earthy, a little bit more natural. You're seeing a lot more. I think people are kind of shying away from all the grays on the walls, and I think that you're seeing more neutral, simple interiors, things with wood and stone and steel. As far as in the home industry, you're seeing a lot of houses that are white brick and black windows. Well, I think you're going to see less of that, going forward, because I think it's so saturated now that I think people are kind of tired of it.
100%. I didn't realize there was a term until the millennial gray.
Yeah, I think that people are kind of getting a little bit tired of that. And I think you're seeing color coming back. I think you're seeing a lot more people being a lot more, paint is such an easy way to change a look of something. It's very inexpensive. And in a great way, when you get tired of a color, it's easy to paint the walls versus buying a bright blue sofa that you're going to have for a while.
All new furniture.
And all your furniture. So my thing is, with folks is if you have your key pieces of furniture, if you do something that is neutral or a non-pattern for a big sofa, then it's easy to add toss pillows and change the colors and
or like an accent chair.
An accent chair, yeah, exactly.
But that you described me for sure, because I was millennial gray, like gray walls, gray carpet, gray couch, everything. And now I've definitely gone more towards like earthly greens, like kind of going into browns a little bit.
You're seeing a lot more browns, greens, some rust. So it's
trend, guys.
It's interesting as those colors are coming back. And, they're becoming more popular.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you also see it in the automobiles. So if you look around, it's like, you don't think of having a green BMW, but they're out there now. or kind of more of a, and you see the same thing with some of the trucks.
Yeah.
There's some great colors out there, and you're also seeing it transitions into the home furnishing industry also.
I do have a muted green Toyota RAV4, actually.
So you're right in sync with
It's
everything.
my favorite color too.
Yeah.
I get so many compliments on it. I know that you said before design helps tell the story of who we are as a brand for Modern Storage. What do you want people to feel when they walk into a Modern Storage?
A sense of adventure, a sense of fun, and knowing that this isn't your typical storage place, and that they run things differently. They have a different attitude, which is no attitude, and very friendly. They're there to help you in any way they can. And so I think that makes a huge difference. And I think they do such a great job with their hiring of their staff, but they're also super helpful with, if you need to borrow the box truck and get some things, they can do that. They also have the golf carts that they can run you around and let you see the different units. So they just make it real easy for you. It's just a kind of a real simple, easy experience to run a unit.
What is your favorite part of a Modern Storage location? A design detail that you are just extra proud of?
My favorite part is we do add orchids in the bathrooms, out on the conference tables, and they look so real that we have to remind the staff, do not water them, because you cannot tell that they're not real. And the same thing with our trees and the other plants that we have in there. Again, we're trying to keep it as low maintenance as possible for the staff that works there, but also create some color and some fun with these pieces that kind of make it feel comfortable and make it feel inviting.
Yeah, you designed every part of it because I didn't know the orchids were you.
Yeah,
For
me, it's just all those little details that really add up that make a difference, that are just very subtle, that people aren't even aware of, but it really does make it nice. Because the same thing in your home, it just makes such a difference to have pieces like that you don't have to worry about. Because I've had homes where we've had the orchids in the house and trees where their housekeepers were watering the trees. And they're like, there's this funny smell in my dining room. And we only discovered that this tree that's been in there for 6 months has been watered once a week. And there's water standing in the bottom of the container. And fortunately, it hasn't gone down to their hardwood floors. But at the same time, it's like, oh no, tell her not to water the tree. Yeah. So it is kind of funny.
That means you got some good plants. If it's hard to tell.
It's really, which is great. But it is kind of funny when those things do happen.
If someone is building a space for their business or redecorating their office, or really just anywhere, what is one piece of advice that you would give to them?
Well, come to us because we can store everything while you're remodeling.
I love that.
We have great big units. So if you have desks, office equipment, anything that you want, or if you have things that need to be in a conditioned space, we have that also. So we really do make it real easy. So my big thing is let us be your staging place for any of your materials, any of the things that are coming in for your office. If it's not ready, let us store it for you. And my thing is the key there is having a plan with your furniture layout, your colors. But the most important thing is having a place to store it and stage it for that remodel or that rework.
So do you actually, when somebody is using you and you take all their furniture out, if there's stuff that they're keeping, you'll go and store it for them?
We'll put it in storage until they figure out what they want to keep. Yeah. And I always tell people, anytime we're moving from house A to house B, is don't get rid of it until we get the next house. We'll take everything that will work and fit in the new house, hang all the art, all the furniture, and then at that point, if something that doesn't fit, then it's in the storage unit until they decide, okay, are we going to put this in an estate sale? We're going to have a garage sale. But at least it's right there where it's all in one place. It just makes it nice. But it's also great for my projects where I can actually store individual projects in individual units. So everything is concise, it's planned, and it's sitting right there, and it makes it a whole lot easier.
So everything gets its own little unit?
Yeah, they get their own unit, yes.
I love that.
And if it's a big project, then they're going to get more than one unit.
Okay. Wow,
so
I love that.
It makes it real easy. And it's just a great way to have, since we have access 24 hours a day, we're not having to wait for a normal warehouse to open up. It's at 8 o'clock and they close it at 4.
You just come and get things as you need.
Yeah, and it makes it really nice.
How does that work whenever do you ever have sometimes multiple projects going on at the same time?
Always.
And when you're coming to storage and going, what kind of is your flow? Do you usually put things you're not sure about in the back, and then things definitely coming in the front, or what's your flow?
What we'll end up doing is we'll try to put the big things on one side and the smaller things on the other side. So The accessories are going to be the last thing that we're going to actually bring into a project.
Okay.
So we try to have all the furniture where we have easy access to that.
Yeah.
Get that out, get that placed, and then come back and start doing the smaller pieces.
So is that a part of like designing 101, big pieces in first, all the little stuff around it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It depends on how it's going to work. But yes, it's a thing where we don't want the unit so full that we can't get to things easily.
Mm-hmm.
But it is nice when you can take when you know what you have coming and you can stage it and you can stash it where the big things are still accessible, first when you need them.
I love that. How do you feel like storage has been, as far as like a game changer for you and your business?
It's made it a whole lot easier because it has, we only have so much room at my studio and then at the store.
Yeah.
So it's really nice having that right there at our fingertips.
Yeah.
So when we get some big things in, because I know years ago when we first opened the store, we had a trailer truck pull up with like 18 sofas and 10 club chairs, and we were loading them in our van and taking them down, putting them in our garage.
Oh,
and I'm like,
wow.
Like, okay, we've got to go rent a warehouse.
Yeah.
And so that was really kind of how the whole thing started.
Oh,
so
okay.
now this is making it a whole lot easier because we end up, having short term, use for the different projects, but we're rotating. One project ends, another one's beginning.
Yeah.
And so it's a nice way where we can just easily put it back in that same storage unit, but for a different client.
Before we wrap up, I'm going to shoot you with a few like rapid fire questions. Don't overthink it. Okay. So just kind of give me what comes to your mind.
All right. Sounds good.
Industrial or minimalist?
Minimalist.
Go-to design color that you always come back to?
A real neutral off-white.
Okay. Pretty fair. Wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
That's actually really cool. Almost like an eggshell.
Yeah. It's an eggshell finish.
Yeah.
But it's kind of an off-white that's just kind of a real simple color that can work with a lot of different things. Especially if you have great art, or if you have just a bunch of random things, it can give you just a real clean background.
Love that. Okay. Biggest interior design mistake that people make?
Buying underscale furniture. They think because their room is small, they need to buy small furniture. And actually, it's just the opposite. If you will use larger overscale pieces, it's going to make your room feel larger. And then just the complete opposite of what I just said about a neutral color for the walls. But again, if you have a real small space, if you painted a real dark color and you paint your walls and your trim and your ceiling the same color, basically it takes away all the sight lines, and you can't really tell where the room starts and the room stops. So it's
Good
really
tip.
kind of a fun. It does the opposite of what you think it's going to do. It's not going to necessarily make your room feel smaller. It's just it's going to actually help expand the space.
I love that. Okay, might have to use
So
that.
it's really
Especially maybe on like this hallway bathrooms and stuff like
we
that.
did that. We
that
did
are
that
small.
for a client in an apartment in New York City where he had this wall of glass, but it was a real small apartment. We ended up painting it this dark bronzy brown that matched the bronze of the storefront glass metal system. And so at night, you couldn't really tell where the apartment ended and the park beyond it, Central Park West beyond it, started.
Okay.
And so it really felt like a huge apartment, but in reality, it really wasn't. But you couldn't see where the corners were in the apartment because of the dark color.
Wow.
So it's really kind of fun.
Okay. Yeah. What is your favorite places to get inspiration from?
Traveling. We travel constantly. And so I'm looking at boutique hotels, great restaurants, great bars. Because a lot of times it's just a matter of going, man, that's a great way to use this, or maybe I could try this instead.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the biggest thing. Is I think just the exposure and seeing what other people have seen.
Yeah.
And I think it helps to continue to be creative.
What is a dream project that you haven't tackled yet?
Probably doing a home on an island would be fascinating to do.
Okay.
Because I've done the amazing beach houses. I've done some really cool mountain houses. I've done I've done some really amazing penthouses, in some large cities. I've done some, I just did this lodge for a client that's on a big piece of property in a big lake. So I kind of run the gamut from very traditional to ultra contemporary to transitional. Also from young couples that are just starting out to couples that have multiple homes. But I think doing something on an island would be pretty amazing. I mean, I would love that.
Yeah. What would be your first vision for that? Like one specific, either piece of furniture or.
I'm thinking not Gilligan's Island, with thatched roofs, but I
Yeah.
think that I'm just thinking that something that's kind of minimalist with basically no glass doors, and minimal, closure. So you actually would have kind of open living room, dining room, kitchen, bedrooms. So
Open
someplace
space.
tropical that would allow it to have, wonderful weather year round.
I love that.
So-
Okay. All right, keep or kill lightning round. Barn doors.
For now, they can work. They can
Okay.
they can serve a good purpose.
Okay.
But again, with that, a lot of it's just the hardware. There's some really amazing hardware out
Yeah.
that allow it to not feel like a country barn. There's some that are real clean
It just
lines that are
still
contemporary.
moves.
They still it's kind of nice because a lot of times if you don't have room for a door to open into a room or open out, this kind of gets it out of the way.
But what about emerald kitchens?
Again, I wouldn't let that be your countertop color. Do something that you can change. So if you wanted to let your island be a great color, or even like you say, emerald, green, it could be. It might be that you buy the KitchenAid mixer in emerald green, and let that be an accent.
Yeah.
Versus something that's really permanent.
Like if it was just paint on the island.
If it's just paint on the island,
you could
but
change
don't
that
paint all
anytime.
your cabinets.
Okay.
Like your entire kitchen that color, because it's going to be expensive to change it when you get sick of it.
Oh, yeah.
Or if you're doing a whole kitchen that color.
What about shiplap?
It's going to be around it's been around for a long time. It's
Yeah.
going to still be there, and I think you can still do it.
Okay.
I have no problem with that at all.
All right. What about the millennial gray?
Yeah, I'd push away from that.
Push away?
Just kind of give yourself a little bit of a break. I think
I've gotten a head
it's
start.
kinda nice. Yeah. And
Sold my couch.
Yeah, the thing is, even if you have your gray couch, you can still change your walls to something else and have some fun with it.
What about for the renters who can't necessarily paint? What would you?
Oh, I'd paint anyway.
Okay.
No,
Lose that deposit, babe.
Sometimes asking for forgiveness is easier. No, but the key is if you are a renter and you are going to paint, let it be an accent wall. So that way your landlords don't just flip out.
It's just one wall they gotta
because you
cover
painted
up.
the entire house or the apartment. But if you just pick one wall and you put it in your back, like if you're going to paint a wall, it's going to be an accent. Like paint maybe that back wall in the dining room where your table goes against it, or
Yeah.
your bedroom, your headboard goes against it.
What about wallpapered ceilings?
They can be real fun. You have to have a slick, smooth ceiling to do it. But you can also paint your ceiling a color too.
Yeah.
So wallpaper can be real fun. The key is if a do-it-yourself wallpaper is kind of tricky, like the peel and stick, to get it to stay on the ceiling. So
Yeah, that starts coming down.
But I have no problem papering ceilings. At
Okay.
all.
I like that. Is that something that you would typically do? Like if you were painting a room a certain color, would you either do the same color or something different, to that versus
I did a ceiling for a young client's daughter for her new house, and she loved color. And we ended up doing a hot pink upholstered velvet chair at her dining table, and we did a wallpaper that was hot pink and white with a silver background. So it was almost like almost a mirrored paper
Okay.
that we put on the ceiling.
metallic looking?
And it was a metallic. It was really fun with these big oversized flowers, and then we ended up leaving her walls white. And then, but it was real fun seeing the mixture because you didn't expect this paper to be on the ceiling.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun.
I imagine so. Well, thank you so much for being here, kind of sharing some of your advice, some of your wisdom in the
It is my
design
pleasure.
world, and thank you for designing all of our locations because I get to walk in and see them every day,
Well,
and
there's more to come. We
very
have some,
nice to
we
look
have,
at.
We have some other ones on the drawing board,
nice.
and some
Stay
other
tuned.
apartment complexes on the drawing board.
Ooh.
So we've got a lot of fun coming up.
All right. So, Gary, anybody that's listening today that wants to pick your brain or hire you to help design their space, how can they get in contact with you?
Gary Mertens Design, and I'm down in Old Riverdale on Resman Park. We have a small little retail store there, Mertens Dyke Home, and then my studio's on the second floor, Gary Mertens Design.
Okay.
So please give me a shout.
All right, listeners. Well, next time you stop by your unit, take a second to appreciate all the details. And we've got Gary to thank for a lot of it, I'm very, very sure. Be sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss an episode. We'll see y'all next time on Modern Storage Unpacked.
That's a wrap for this episode of Modern Storage Unpacked. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe. See you next time.